What are you doing down there?
Oh, I'm trying one of these board games I've heard so much about.
You're staring at a wall, buddy.
Yeah, it's really boring. I have no idea how this is a game.
And what do you think board games are?
Games that are boring?
Yeah, there we go. See, nobody in the history of ever has ever thought that that is what a board game is.
I think something's about to happen. Autumn has officially arrived, which means it is time to stay inside for the next 6 months, bust out the board games, and chill. This is my 4th video where I recommend you board games that I really enjoy. So do make sure to check out the rest of the series to find the perfect game for you. Let's get going. We're kicking things off with Splendor. In Splendor, you take on the roles of merchants during the Renaissance era. Using your temporary currency of gems, you will aim to acquire boats, camels, gem mines, riches, which in turn will give you prestige points. The first person to reach 15 points wins the game. It's super simple to teach, so you can basically get going in about 5 minutes or so. The thing I really enjoy about Splendor is it feels like there's an even balance between luck and strategy, so even for new players, it feels like there's a fairly even playing field. And then even if you do lose, it feels like you were maybe only 1 or 2 turns away from winning anyway. Plus, if I did lose, the other players probably just cheated anyway. It feels really satisfying to build up your resources because each card that you buy becomes part of your permanent currency that effectively gives you more buying power through the game. In fact, you will get to a point later in the game where you have bought so many cards that you no longer have any need for those old dusty gems. No. You will be buying cards, using your cards, and then using those cards to buy more cards. It's very satisfying when it all comes together. The game starts to ramp up really quickly about halfway through, which I think is my only complaint, that sometimes it feels like it ends just a little bit too soon. There are a few expansions for Splendor that I have yet to try, but it has become such a hit at games nights that I think I'm gonna need to check them out. There is also a Marvel edition of Splendor where instead of gems, you use the Infinity Stones to assemble your team of Avengers to stop Thanos. Now, I'm not into Marvel enough to warrant buying that version, but I do think that is a pretty damn creative way to do a special edition. Moo. That was cow for. Come on, Sophie. Keep it together. This is a serious production. Moo. That was cow for. The next game we're going to be talking about is Herd Mentality. So buckle up, cow lovers. Maybe if you don't like cows, maybe you'll like the game anyway. We really need to find a way to streamline the English language the same way the cows have got it figured out. Herd Mentality is a group party game where the aim is to answer questions the same way as everybody else. So for example, let's test this. You, watching this video, think of a vegetable beginning with the letter C. You need to think of the most obvious, generic, crowd-pleasing answer you can, which could be carrot. Were you thinking of carrot? Don't lie. You were. So if you're writing cress or chickpeas or collard greens, you're probably not gonna get any points. It took me a while to get the hang of this game, honestly. I do have this innate, natural habit of trying to be unique and original wherever I can. It's really quite annoying. So check your free-thinking thoughts at the door, Mr. Original. Name a hot drink came up once, and I excitedly wrote my favorite organic Japanese matcha green tea, and then surprised Pikachu faced when everybody else wrote coffee. Of course they did. Obviously it was coffee. Then, when you are the odd one out, the least herdable cow, if you will, you are given the cow of shame. Whilst holding the cow, you cannot win the game, so in future rounds you have to rejoin the herd and pass it off to somebody else. It's a really easy game to explain, and it's a nice, light way to start an evening of board games, and a good way to get to know where other people's minds go to. Dorfromantik is an old German word that means village romanticization, or that feeling of nostalgia for the countryside. And I think they've captured that vibe perfectly in this game. Dorfromantik began as an indie video game that I found one night when I was scrolling through Steam trying to find something to play, and the aesthetic of it looked exactly like my kind of thing. So I checked it out, and it very quickly became a very addictive favorite of mine. Very simple to understand, very difficult to master. We have literally got an entire Dorfromantik leaderboard going in the KickThePj Discord right now. But then when I heard it was being turned into a board game, I was like, hell yeah, it is. In Dorfromantik, you're taking hexagonal tiles and you're connecting them together either by yourself or as a team, building out a small, humble town with rustic houses, sprawling forests, wheat field farmlands, winding rivers, and trains. I really don't like the trains. The aim of the game, much like the video game, is to get as high a score as possible by meeting particular requirements from the task tiles. The task tiles will give you a series of little quests to complete. For example, it might ask you to make a little hamlet consisting of 4 house tiles, or a dense 6-tile forest, or a babbling brook stretching across 5 tiles. Then when you run out of landscape tiles, the game is over, and you total up your score. This game has such a unique and satisfying progression system that makes it really replayable. Every time you play, you will gradually unlock more quests to take on, more tiles, more tasks, basically more things to do. Then you track it all on the provided progression sheets, and it is so incredibly pleasing. And I just love it. This is exactly my kind of thing. Then whenever we play, we listen to the video game soundtrack, which is so utterly beautiful, and it really sets the mood for a chill, cooperative games night. It also recently came out with a Sakura-themed version, which has different quests, and it also looks really pretty, so you may want to check that one out as well. Slay the Spire is one of my favorite roguelike deck-building indie games, and I have sunk hundreds of hours into the video game. And just like Dorf Romantic, when I heard that Slay the Spire was doing a Kickstarter for a board game version, I instantly backed it, and then I waited by the door like Scott Pilgrim for like a year until it finally arrived. And it is huge! The box is so big and it comes with so many pieces. So let's talk about it. The board game is very faithful to the video game, but it has been streamlined and adapted to make it more of a tabletop-friendly play style. What I mean by that is, if you know the video game, you know that there's a lot of maths involved, a lot of big number elements that can get a bit out of control, and they've been very mindful of that and made it a lot simpler to manage in the board game version. In Slay the Spire, you are ascending a tower full of horrible monsters and precarious events that are all trying to kill you, all whilst building a deck full of strong attacks, powerful skills, and game-changing powers. You'll also be collecting relics and potions and money to help you on your journey. Like the video game, it is split up into 3 acts, so you don't have to play it all in one sitting. You can take a pause once you've beaten one of the act bosses. Also, like the video game, the board game is incredibly replayable. It comes with 4 different characters: the Ironclad, the Silent, the Defect, and the Watcher, who all play very differently using 4 unique sets of cards that you will be building decks from. And it's designed in a way where you can either play solo or with a group of up to 3 other players to take down the Spire together. I really like when a game allows you to play it solo. As much as I do love group game nights, I'm also a huge nerdy introvert who likes his alone time, where the idea of locking into a 3-hour board game and holding all of the strategy in my head, it sounds like a really good time to me. The thing this game does really well is the upgrade system. Along your journey, you may choose to upgrade your cards at the campfires, and because you have all of these lovely sleeves to slot your cards into, you upgrade a card by simply popping it out, flipping it around, and sliding it back into the sleeve. And if you've ever played a game that uses card sleeves, you'll know how incredibly satisfying that is. So would I recommend this to somebody who has never played the video game? I'd say it can't hurt to check out the video game first, just to see if you like the vibe of it. I do think this plays really well regardless of if you know the game or not, but I will say there's no story involved. It is just 100% a strategy card deck building game, which I personally love. There will come a day where you feel crushed by the burden of modern life, and your bright spirit will fade before a growing emptiness. When that happens, my dear, you will be ready for this game. An existential crisis is not mandatory to play this game, but it helps. I know a lot of people who love Stardew Valley, but they are unsure whether to get Stardew Valley the board game. Well, I am here to be the little devil on your shoulder to convince you to get it. Did I say devil? I meant angel. I know I'm dressed like a devil right now, but I meant angel. In Stardew Valley the board game, you are living your best life in Pelican Town, spending your days farming, ranching, fishing, mining, and foraging. The game takes place over the course of 4 seasons, and it includes a bunch of festivals taking place in the town, plus all of the villagers who we have grown to either love or very much hate. And you might even be able to romance some of them too. The aim is to complete all of Grandpa's goals, whilst also completing 6 bundles of the community center. You wouldn't want to let Grandpa's ghost and all of the Junimos down now, would you? No pressure. Playing by yourself or with a group of up to 4 people, you can hone in on any particular profession that takes your fancy. So if you enjoy slugging it out in the mines day in, day out looking for prismatic shards, then maybe you can focus on the mining. Maybe if you want to focus on getting your fish on and try luring in some legendary fish, then maybe you could be the fisher of the group. But not every day can be perfect, because you've got the evil corporation Jojamart trying to expand through the town, which will make it very difficult for you to live your best best life. So you'll have to use your money or the hearts you've acquired to wipe Joja off the board before it gets out of control. The game has a lot of depth to it, and you'll never play it the same way twice. With a huge array of items to find, villagers to meet, and events to experience, you're gonna keep coming back to Pelican Town for another go. Just like the video game, a lot of love and care and detail have been woven into all aspects of this game, and I'm not surprised. I don't believe that Concerned Ape would ever put his name to something that doesn't consider the player experience to be the most important part. And so, those are my 5 board game recommendations for today. Have you played any of them? Let me know in the comments, and also let me know what you've been playing as well. Is there anything you would recommend? I'm always looking for more games to expand my game collection and bring new things to games nights. I hope this video has perhaps inspired you to check out something new, and maybe you'll find a new game that you love.
Oh my god. I think I won!
That can't be possible.
PJ, you've got to play this game, man. It's revolutionary. It's probably the best thing I've ever played. It's probably better than anything you just recommended. It's not a game!